Hi, I'm the president of XTRF Management Systems, the company specializing in translation projects management automation. In my career, I used to be working in a translation company as a project manager, as a production manager, operations director, and also as a managing director. Eventually, this company was sold to one of the biggest translation companies in the world. Since few years, I'm managing XTRF Management Systems in the position of CEO, and I'm helping other translation companies to grow a successful business. Today I'd like to talk a bit about automation, what we understand by automation culture and how this can affect your businesses. Why are we talking about automation? From our contacts with lots of translation companies, we see that over 80% of translation companies struggle with keeping their project margins. Why is that? The types of projects change on the market. There is lots of small projects, small assignments, which are asked for by clients every day. So the projects are getting smaller, there is more languages, the budgets do not increase as fast as the number of languages requested by the client, and there is also lots of different file formats that translation companies have to deal with in their projects. So this creates quite a complex situation for project managers. We are going to address this with automation. Of course, this is like a natural answer. However, we would like to treat automation and discuss automation looking at this from different angles. So we'll take the position of project manager in the first place, but also we'll look at this from the business owner perspective, vendor manager perspective, or financial director perspective. Let's start with the analysis of how a typical translation process still looks like in a standard translation agency, which is still mainly manual. So let's see how it looks. First, the client contacts a project manager. This project manager has to create a project in the CAD tool in order to get the analysis, so the information about the fuzzy matches, repetitions, and so on. Basing on this, we know the volume of the project, and the project manager can start looking for vendors. In this example, we are looking for translator and proofreader. Once they are found, the project goes to translator, who delivers the files back to project manager, who in turn delivers this to project manager and to proofreader and receives it back before handing over to the client. Well, this is very manual, so we can say it's automation level 0. However, we can do a lot about that. Let's also look how this situation impacts the bottom line. So how the money received from the client is used within the project. So we have an example of 100 euro value of the project and how this money is spent during the project. 50%, so 50 euro, would go to vendors on average. Some 35% of the project value will be consumed by the project management, so the operations related to handling this job. Then there is of course some overhead, 5%, and luckily there is 10% margin. Of course, it might vary depending on the volume of the project, of the size of the project. We can also say that sometimes it is 30% on project management side, 10% as an overhead, but we are anyway in the situation where the project management share is pretty high in comparison to the margin. So let's say we can do something about this and implement some mechanism to help this situation. First thing we can do is introduce the concept of a workflow. Workflow will be a set of steps which is managed by a tool, like a translation project management tool. And this tool will help us pass on the files from one step to another. So what will happen in this situation is that project manager will still be in touch with the client. He will prepare the project in a CAD tool, do the analysis manually, then look for vendors again manually. But then once the vendors are selected, the system can create purchase orders automatically, can handle files, which mean which means sends the files to translators, receives it back and sends to proofreader, as well as the system can take or on emails involved in these operations. Once this workflow is being executed, the files are delivered to project manager, who is in touch with the client to deliver the final project. That already looks better. We have saved surely a lot of time on these operations. However, still there can be something more that we can do in this situation. What is that? From my experience as a project manager, I know that looking for vendors is particularly time-consuming task, especially when you do it by calling each individuals one by one, and you know the first one is busy with other projects, the other one is shopping, or the third one is taking kids from school, so they are not always immediately available. It takes a lot of calls to find the ready vendors who can start the job. So saving on this task, helping to improve this work would really improve the time spent on the project. And what we can do about this is to use a mechanism that we call availability requests, which basically sends the information about the new job to selected vendors and receiving the information about who's available for the job and who's not. Basing on this, the project manager can either select the vendors from the list of those who confirmed availability, or we can even implement an automation rule of selecting the first one who confirmed his readiness and starting the work right away. So what we get because of this automation is not only finding who's available without losing time on that, without losing time on dozens of calls, but also we can assign jobs manually and most of all start projects much quicker. How this affects the bottom line? Well, we can assume that with these automations that we have right now discussed, we can already reduce the project management cost by some 30%. So from 35% we can go down to some 24, which saves us 11 euro on each 100 euro spent by client, and increases the margin by the same value, which results in a 110% increase in the margin value. This was automation level 2. It's already good, but of course we can do something more about this. It doesn't mean that all projects can be automated at this level. Surely not all of them, but a large number of them surely yes. So let's see what this level entails. What we can use here is the integration with external CAD tool. Integration means that two systems can talk together in the background. And what this integration provides as a value is creating the CAD tool project automatically in order to receive the analysis, use this analysis in receivables and in payables, so in calculating the cost for the client and in calculating the purchase order and the spendings to your vendors. And then if we link it with assignment, which means automatic allocation of translators and proofreaders for the job, and launch of this chain of steps, we are really talking about quite a nicely automated workflow. In this scenario then, the project manager still defines the project with the client, then starts the workflow as discussed before, and waits for it at the end to deliver the projects at the end to the client. Of course, I'm tempted to ask, do we need the project manager at the end? Most of us would say, of course. This is the moment where we build our relationships with the client. This is the moment where we can talk about potential new jobs, and this is a great opportunity to find something more about working or cooperation opportunities with the client. At the same time, surely we can find examples of works, example of projects where time is the crucial aspect. And when it's not the best moment to discuss with clients about the new thing, the client is really waiting to get the job done as soon as possible. And here, if we could provide the client with the information about the files being available in customer portal the minute after they are delivered by the last supplier in the process, well, this could be a great value for the client. Most of all, we can also think about this as our 24/7 availability for the client, because it means that when proofreader, in this example, finishes his job, whether this is the evening or it is Saturday night, the client will be informed about this immediately. Well, this surely affects our bottom line again. In this example, I think we are already at half the cost that we originally evaluated at the level of 35%, so 35 euro. So we are going down to 17, and this affects our margin by 160% up. So we are getting to 26 euro margin out of 100 spent instead of 10 that we had at the beginning. Can we do anything more? Yes, we have the last step here. There was a project manager here at the beginning, but again, do we need the project manager to start the project? In most of the cases, yes, but surely again we can think about the projects which are repetitive, which we know from the client, which are asked for regularly by the same client. So we could in fact expose and prepare a service that we offer to the client in a customer portal, and customer portal could log there anytime he wants, so again 24/7, and select this service and launch the project anytime it's needed. In that way, we will be really talking about a fully automated workflow, which is an ideal scenario. And again, of course, it's not for all types of projects, but for sure, for a at least tiny portion of projects, it is possible to use this method. When we look at the bottom line, how this affects the costs and revenues in the project, of course, we could say, well, the translation project management costs should go down to zero. It's not perfectly true, because there is still some cost related to definition of such a workflow, so definition of this process. There is a cost related to overlooking whether everything is going right within the project. That's the new role of a project manager. So I'm not really willing to suggest putting zero here. What I'm trying to suggest here is also looking at other aspects related to automated workflows. If we automate the workflow and we automate the selection of suppliers, we can also get some gains, some savings in this part, which is external costs. Most of the project managers like to work with the people they like. We all do it. So we tend to order new translations from people who always confirm the job, who are normally available, who do not make problems, who do not ask too many questions, who are just easy to work with. But it doesn't have to be the most optimal way of allocating jobs. So if we automate that, we can really help also optimize the costs of external vendors. There is one more important aspect related to this. If translation company and project managers always order translations to the same people, the people they like and they know, it means that the pool of available vendors doesn't expand, doesn't grow. And it's normally a headache of a vendor manager. So a vendor manager can do a brilliant job looking for new vendors, but nobody will use them. And at the end, this new database of new vendors who were interested in cooperation may erode, because those people, without having any order coming, they will just quit on this opportunity, will not be ready to work for this translation company in future. We can help this problem if the availability requests are sent out automatically to those vendors that match the project criteria. Then we can have these new vendors also included in this loop, included in this chain of questions and availability requests, and we can expand the pool of vendors used on a daily basis. When we look, I'm very sorry for this, when we look at the effects of automation, of course there is one that everybody has in mind. It's optimization of project management time, and we have seen that we can increase the efficiency of project management and margin by 230%. That's great, but there is also some other strategic advantages that we should remember when talking about automation. One is related to vendor management. I have just discussed this. It means we can implement a process that engages more and more vendors in our cooperation. That's surely building a higher value of the company. Then, as long as we are using workflows which are standard and which are defined processes, it means that we can produce a repetitive quality over each project, because we are just repeating the same work scenarios as defined by the workflows. Then there is also another thing, which is, I would call it business continuity. We all know that project managers keep a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience in their heads. They have been working with clients quite often for many years, and they know really these clients very well as they know how to serve them the best possible way. It means that when they are not in the office because they are on vacations, they are ill, or they are just not available, this experience is not available neither. So this is a big gap in experience that is being created by this situation in a translation agency. If we save all the workflows in the system, and those workflows are prepared by those project managers, it is like saving their experience in a digital format. So this experience is being transferred to a system, which means that when those people are not available to serve clients, the others can quickly take over and repeat the same precisely defined process and deliver the same consistent quality again for the same clients. And of course, everything which is related to control and growth, as long as we have the system which describes how we do things, we can not only measure all the metrics related to our job, but we can also have a full visibility of all projects and of all the situations that happen in the company. This can be used as the basis for future development and positive growth of the business. In order for this to work that way and that beautifully, there is one key condition, and this is the system, which should be easy enough to use so that people can learn it quickly, so that people like working in the system, and so that people do not commit mistakes while working with this system. This is why in XTRF we are investing so much since 2 or 3 years already in user interface, so that at the end the system that we provide gives a pleasure for each of us to work with, and the system helps each of us in our daily work. At the end, that's what we all wish for. Thank you very much, and see you in other movies that we'll be surely presenting with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.